Okay, perfect. Okay, guys, can you guys hear me? Let me get everybody involved. A couple of link. Put it here. And then me on.
Where do you want to sit?
I'll sit over here. Don't worry about it. We'll make it work. One second, guys. I'm posting the links. See how many people are going to join us today. All right. Okay, everybody. We have 22 people. On today's stream, I have a special guest. Can you guys hear me? Are you guys able to hear us? Loud and clear. Let me bring the cue a little more. You can actually, no, not over there. Sit right here. I'm going to bring my new guest, a guest that knows a thing or two about audio. All right, so have a seat there.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody. We have a very special guest today.
Jay needed my muscle to help him move his new speakers into place.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
I needed his help. And what I want for you guys is to please hit that like button, number one. That way, YouTube informs everybody else, the rest of the world, that we are here having a discussion, okay? Please hit that like button. Go ahead. Let's get that like going so we can begin to get more people involved. Right now, we have about 32 people, Mike. So
Cool.
let's see how many people we can get. Last time we had about 150. So in case you're wondering what this will be about, okay, this is about me calling a good friend of mine, Mike, to help me with positioning some speakers that you guys have been very angry at the fact that I have not unveiled what they are, Mike. So they are very antsy.
Good. They sound really good.
So that he sat here with me for about 2 hours. We listened to the vocals, and then we began to place the second pair of speakers. Okay, and Mike was very excited to hear them, especially with the Boulder 3060. Okay, so you guys are about to get our thoughts on what, first of all, his thoughts on what he heard, number one, and number two, I'll chime in from time to time, and I want to answer some of you guys' questions, okay? So in case you guys do not know, if you look right underneath on the live chat, there is a $sign, okay? When you hit that button, you can donate to the channel, which I greatly appreciate, okay? Once you make that donation, your questions will be highlighted, and I'll be able to answer those directly, okay? So if you want your questions to be answered, please help the channel out by clicking the thumbs up first and donating, okay? It helps me grow. It helps the channel continue to do what it has been doing for over 2.5 years now, Mike. So very excited this afternoon, Saturday. It is 2:24 p.m. and we are doing this here. And I want to thank Mike for being here with me, helping me.
It's about 450 miles round trip to come to Jay.
So you drove about 6 hours round trip.
Yeah, it's a good
about a 6 hour round trip, okay? So really appreciate Mike coming out to help me, okay? No, guys, you will not see the speaker just yet because unfortunately right now we got done taking them out from where we thought they were, where we think they're going to sound phenomenal, and we put the focals back in place.
Correct.
Okay. Mike suggested an idea when I first got the speakers, which was to not let everyone know at all what the speakers are.
Mm-hmm.
Just play a comparison, a couple of videos where we compare the focals against the new speaker. Okay, without showing what speaker's playing, just essentially having the camera dead center on the Boulder gear, and you guys can vote on a poll that I'll have. And the idea behind that is that basically you will have absolutely no bias of any kind. If you do not know what's playing, you're going to go by what you hear. And I think that at the end of those three videos is enough, 2 or 3 videos is enough. I'll come back, share with you guys the poll results so you can see what speaker you chose, so that when I unveil the speaker, you guys can be shocked at what you selected. A lot of you guys are very biased. A lot of you guys love to select speakers because of the speaker name. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of brands that are coming up are never given a fair shot. Okay, a lot of brands are talked about as, oh, that brand, it's okay. Best Buy has it. It's okay. A regular, brick and mortar location has it. So it's not that special. And I think that if we can begin to completely conceal the identity of all these manufacturers and let you guys hear it without knowing what's playing, and I'm hoping, by the way, that you guys are using headphones, because it's very important to at least do that.
Right.
Or if you have a system connected to your home system, great. If you can do that, that's fine. Okay, but what I want you guys to know is that the less you see, the better it is to give these new brands a fair shot. Now, I'm not saying this brand that I have here is a newcomer, because it certainly isn't. Okay. But anyway, it's 60 of you guys. Please, thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up so we can call on more people. Okay. That's going to help us to continue to increase the amount of viewership today. Okay. I want to have a lot of people join us, because it's not every day that I have Mike from Suncoast Audio here. Man lives very far, so he took time out of his busy day and family time to be here with me. But he's a madman just like I am.
Yes, most definitely. And I gotta say, that amplifier, I want to take that home with me.
All right, so
right now.
So Mike, what Mike is going to do, we're going to start out by I want Mike to talk about the 3060. Okay, I want Mike to talk about the 3060 before we begin to look at the chat and answer some of the questions. Okay, you will have an opportunity. Thank you there. There's the first donation by Tariq Bari. Much appreciated. I'll get to your question shortly. I promise you. I'm going to answer that question. I want Mike to talk a little bit about the Boulder 3060 and what he heard here.
So first of all, if anybody has any dealer-related questions, if you have anything, I'm here as well. I can answer those. But let me tell you, the Boulder 3060, and I have the 2160 and the 1160 and the 1161 and the 866. So I have a lot of Boulder product. This is at a different level. This is, if the 2160 is a 12-cylinder car, this is a 16-cylinder car. I mean, it just doesn't give up. Whatever we threw at it, no matter how loud we played, no matter how dynamic the music was, this thing just delivered in spades and looked at you and said, that's all you got? This amp is absolutely world-class. And you're not prepared for this amp when you see it in person. It is not only extremely deep, tall, and wide. It is mind-blowing how beautiful this amp is, and sonically unbelievably good. Also paired with the 2110 preamp, we noticed it took the amp to a new level. So we wanted to do a demonstration using the MSB Select 2 direct into the 3060 versus the 2160 in the mix. And let me tell you, the 2160, it is a $70,000 preamp. It took the amp to a whole new level. So as good as the volume control, the preamp section is in the MSB, and everyone knows I'm a big fan, this particular pairing I thought was even better at the next level when you added the 2110 to the 3060 or 3060. And it would be scary to know the 3000 series preamp with this particular amp. I bet that would be at a whole different level too. Again.
So today was essentially a learning lesson, I think, for even Mike, a man who has had everything, okay, far more experience than I do. But in my short time, I have been very vocal about the fact that the importance of a preamplifier cannot be overlooked,
Mhm.
okay, especially, Mike, especially when it comes to certain types of speakers.
Yes, absolutely.
Guys, if you want one piece of advice from today's live stream, one, if you have very difficult to drive speakers, and what would those be, Mike? What would you say efficiency wise? North of
Um,
86 or
86 and below.
86 and below. So if you have a speaker that has an efficiency of about 86 dB or below, guys, you must have a preamplifier. And I mean a quality preamplifier. Please, a DAC, and I have a $115,000 DAC as of
Now,
June 1st, as
June
of now.
1st, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even a DAC that is $115,000, okay, which will probably put to shame a lot of the preamplifiers that most of you guys have, okay, it can't compete with a real world-class preamplifier. Today we had that demonstration. You guys should have seen Mike's face, okay? We listened to the Boulder 3060 with the 2110 with this secret speaker. And then I told Mike, let's listen to the DAC again, right? So we got the DAC in place straight into the amplifier. And the first thing that came out of Mike's mouth was,
well, I was listening to Boulevard of Broken Dreams by Diana Krall. So it was on Qobuz, and with the 2110 in the mix, her piano was outside the right speaker. And it had this expansive soundstage. It was just far outside. It was wall to wall. As soon as we went direct, the soundstage collapsed a bit, and the piano moved inside the right speaker. So what that 2110 preamp was doing in the mix was phenomenal. I mean, it was really, really adding a lot to the overall soundstage width and depth as well.
so although there are many DACs out there, I'm here to tell you today, many of them do an exceptional job at doing what a preamplifier does. But a DAC cannot be the jack of all trades. It is actually the jack of all the jack of all trades, but the master of none. I think the DAC has a functionality, has a job, and I'm going to tell you, it is not the job of a world-class preamplifier. If you are serious about your system and you have speakers that are, again, relatively difficult to drive, you got to have a preamplifier. If you're using a DAC, I promise you, you do not know what you're missing.
In a lot of cases, the output impedance match of the DAC's volume control or the preamp needs to be a perfect match or a really good match for the input impedance of the amplifier. And sometimes there isn't that match. In fact, you can look at a lot of brands out there where really their preamp is the best match impedance wise for their amplifier. And I think that is the case here with the Boulder. So we could plug the Constellation and it would be a different situation, or another brand, and the MSB may outperform it. We don't know. But again, we're talking about the output impedance and the input impedance being a really good match with the preamp and the amp. And I think in this particular case, it's very good with the 2110. Yeah.
We now have discovered the importance of synergy, which is a topic that I have been very vocal about. I just released a video yesterday, and how important it is to be in touch with those who do this all the time. Okay. I am blessed to have the opportunity to have some of the best electronics available to us today. So this is an opportunity that, of course, I was happy to have someone who knows about audio come into my room, give me their opinion, and begin to fine tune my system. Okay, because I trust Mike's years. He's been in the trenches for a long time, so his opinion is valuable. Okay, but today, let's talk a little bit about, without mentioning the speaker.
Mm-hmm.
Mike is going to talk a little bit about the speaker that I have in the room without revealing the identity of the speaker. I want Mike to articulate what he heard after we positioned the speaker, after we found the right spot for the speaker. and then what happened when we went back to full cal. So
right. Well, the first thing we did is we removed the wheels from the speakers, and Jay had some fancy footers that he wanted to put on, so we put those on, and we put gliders underneath, and we started to really inch our way to find the right position where the speakers just disappeared. And I think we found that after several hours, we definitely got to that point where I just couldn't identify where the speakers were, and it was just wall to wall sound, and I was completely blown away. I was very happy. I had my playlist. We went through the songs, and I was very impressed with the new speaker. Switched back to the Focal, and immediately things kind of got more intimate, smaller. We lost some of that bass weight. Your new speakers have some tremendous bass weight to them, and we kind of lost that a little bit. And I really felt like, we took a step down overall. So from the listening chair, from where I was, the new speakers, I thought were really fantastic.
Now I want Mike to also address some of the comments that I get on my that I have received actually throughout the last 3 videos. Okay, some of you guys are saying that I have no bass in the room with the new speaker. That it's very flat sounding. That there is absolutely nothing happening. What do you have to say?
Well, the bass on the new speaker is far more quality of bass and quantity of bass than even the Focals. There's no doubt. In fact, when we switched back, I thought, where did we lost some bass, probably 25 to 30% less bass volume and bass quality was gone. So no, and I think what's going to be interesting, Jay, is you're going to want to put them where we've positioned them.
Okay.
We found the sweet spot, and then do some videos, because now, we've put your fancy footers under there that you got, and we've got a new spot in the room. And I think the microphone should be able to pick that up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to look at some of the questions that you guys are posting right now. Thank you to those of you who are donating. Okay. I'm going to look at those questions right now and answer them. Please, before I do that, hit that thumbs button. Hit that thumbs up, please, so that we can begin to get more people to join the live stream. Okay, Mike. So this question is coming from Stefano. Mike, this is for you.
Okay. It
says, "Hi, Mike. An unrelated question. Quite a while ago, you said that the Magnepans 20.7 were the best speakers in the $25,000 range. Do you still think so?"
Well, the Magnepan 20.7s, if I'm not mistaken, they're around 15,000.
15,000, yeah.
So to answer your question, I think they're one of the best. I think they are one of the best speakers you can buy for 15,000. In terms of the 25,000 range, I think, and I've been trying to get Jay to try a pair of these, the 802 D4s from B&W.
Yes.
We sit there in the store and we're just blown away by what we're hearing. People are coming in and they can't believe how good this new D4 series really is. And my belief is that, a pair of the 802 D4s, and this is going to be a whole big controversy, but I'll say it anyway. I've told Jay many times, I think the 802 D4s or the 801 D4s and a pair or more of the matching subwoofers from B&W. And now people are going to say, oh my God, they don't have any bass. That's why he's saying it. No, that's not why I'm saying it. I'm a big believer in subwoofers to even out the bass in a room. And they can actually help correct bass nodes where you may have some problems. So, for example, what people may or may not know about the B&W subs is they're very much unlike a REL or a JL Audio or some of the other subs that are out there. They have built-in DSP and room EQ. So using the B&W subwoofer app on your phone, you dial the subs into where not only your room, but wherever you place them in the room. And so they will run through a whole series of setup tones and sweeps and other things. And when it's done, you will not be able to detect that the subwoofer is on. So I was saying that, the 802 D4s with the matching subs, you're probably out of pocket $35,000 for 2 subs and the 2 speakers for 35 grand. That is a phenomenal system. Take it up another notch. You've got the 801s and the DB1D subwoofers. matching, you're probably up to 47,000 today's price. By the way, the speaker prices are all going up July 5th for B&W, but you're at that level that you are literally now thinking, I'm going to have to spend over 100,000 or more to beat this system that we're hearing. So, I'm not saying it's for everybody, but I'm saying that is a tremendous speaker. And the Magnapans at 15 grand, I obviously don't sell them. I think they're amazing. I've owned 5 pairs of Maggies, MMGs, 1.6s, 1.7s, 3.6s, 3.7. I mean, you could go on. I think the Maggies are great. The only downside to the Magnapans is that it's like listening with a head in a vice. It's like, or I jokingly say they're speakers for people with no friends, because your friend's going to come over and go, the right speaker's not working. I'm sitting over here. But, you don't want to move your head this way or this way, because you literally will lose that pea-sized sweet spot that they have. But that's not a knock. It's just that's the way the speakers are designed. Okay. So big Maggie fan for sure.
So Magnapans, absolutely great. I love them. To your point, it was that speaker that really makes you question the price performance conversation. It makes you question, should you be going to much more expensive speakers? 100% in alignment. The Magnapan 20.7s are killers for 15K.
Yeah.
The only problem with them, power.
Yeah. The more you give them, the more they eat up.
Guys, there are some speakers out there that need power. You can't be using regular amplification. And I don't mean power from Guitar Center. Okay. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about Crown Class D amplifiers with 1,000 watts. Okay. You may want to do a little better than that. For instance, about some Bryston amplifiers, the Big Boy 28B, even the 28B squares.
Yes.
Great amp for the Magnapan. Great amplifier for Magnapan. Okay. So, all right, I'm going to answer the other question really quick that came before. The question was, how do you compare high-end or render Ineos to the Takeo Extreme? Do you consider system synergy with these high-end servers, or is it a case that one is simply better in all aspects? Okay, so I haven't had the Ineos music server, but I have had, and I currently have an all render and the Takeo Extreme. System synergy, is important. Today we demonstrated that with Mike. We actually had 2 different music servers playing, and I literally removed the Takeo Extreme, went to the all render. We heard the differences very clearly today, more than ever before. And I think we can say that, and we're not going to go into specific details because I don't want a controversy to begin. Okay. But what I can say is at a high level, one has a lot more low end punch, more fullness, more bottom end, in a sense of more depth. The other one is a lot more focused.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So that's all I'm going to say. Okay. So there are differences with music servers. And yes, the conversation with synergy is 100% valid. You have to continue to remember, without synergy, it doesn't matter how much money you spend. You can easily cook up a shitty meal. Shit meal with the best steak and the best vegetables. You can easily do that. Okay, so remember that. Okay, he wants to know about Ineos. I have no idea what you feel about I know you're a dealer for Ineos, so maybe you can.
We just added Ineos as a brand a couple of months ago, and we've been extremely impressed with it. One of the reason that we added it is that we had people walking in the store, and come hell or high water, they wanted to use Roon. We really didn't have a Roon solution for them. So I'd always refer people to Small Green Computer and tell them to call Andrew, and away they went. But with Ineos, even their smallest product, which is $1,395, the Zen Mini, it runs Roon Core and Roon and rips CDs and has a terabyte of storage. So for $1,395, you can start with that and be well on your way to ripping your CDs, storing them, doing Roon, running Roon, the whole 9 yards. Now you can even make that Zen Mini better by adding a power supply for it. So they have a linear power supply for another $600, $700. You can take it to the next level. And obviously they have many, many models now going up to $24,000. And they just announced at Munich a new series with more upgraded, race car parts, if you will. So I don't know a lot about that new series yet. It was just announced a couple of days ago, so we're going to see what's coming out. But that's really the reason. So what I wanted to say though is, we all know the DAC is extremely important. And we all know now that the music server is important. Remember, 3-4 years ago, nobody thought anything of it. They were hooking their MacBook Minis up to it and saying this is good enough. But I think we all know now that this is very important. But what we're also learning is that the software is important.
Oh, yeah.
So the software that is designed can be, very graphic intensive and require a lot of CPU power. All of that creates noise. So even on the Inuus product, the really cool thing is you can go in the Inuus app with one button. You can say Roon, you're in Roon. Switch back to the Inuus software, which is excellent, by the way. They just redesigned it, and you can be using the Inuus software, and you can do a direct A/B comparison right there with the same box, same cable, same everything.
Nice.
And the only thing that changes is the software, and you will hear, yes, the Roon is the most beautiful software, but the Inuus is a close second, and it sounds better. So that's something to think about.
Look at that.
If you're not into the Roon thing, then you've got your Render versus Inuus, and you really got to look at both. They're both excellent solutions.
Interesting thoughts, Mike. Guys, hit that like button, please. Hit that thumbs up button so we can call more people to join us. Okay. Also, if you have any specific questions, make a donation to the channel. I'll make sure that I answer all your questions, okay? Those of you who are contributing to the channel, much appreciated. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support, actually, because as you know, every bit of help that you guys can give me is absolutely appreciated, okay? So I'm going to just overall look at the chat right now and answer a couple of questions. Now, I'm being told that the 20.7s are now 18K.
Still a great deal.
It's still a great deal for 18K.
Yeah. If you have the room. I mean, they do need room, Jay.
They do, right?
Yeah.
They do. They do. I agree with that. Give me some of the questions. And if you want to make a donation, please make a donation. I will make sure that I answer your questions. And I prioritize those of you who make a donation to help you guys, okay? And any questions you may have about your particular journey. Let's see. Entire base. Someone is saying old new KMD. I don't know about any KMD or crystal reference loudspeakers. There are so many. Focals are a big statement. Do you feel, in your opinion, okay, so it says power cord for MSB reference. Question about a power cord. They want to know if Norda's Odin, and it blew me my mind with transparency, speed of resolution. Any other cable that comes close to, in your opinion, to like an Odin 2? I know you're an Odin dealer, a Norda's Odin dealer. If someone has money to buy, let's say they can't really quite gather the funds to buy an Odin 2, but they love the Odin 2. Do you?
Yeah, the Analysis Plus makes a really good cable. The Oval, I forget the name. Something Oval, it's called. And I thought it was very, very good. It didn't have the speed and resolution of the Nordos cables, but I do find it's also very neutral, very balanced, but very, it's a good cable. I mean, obviously you've got your Audio Quest Hurricanes. What I've found, I don't know about you, but I found the high currents sound better than the sources, even though they're the same Hurricane source, Hurricane high current. I find the Hurricane high currents, even on sources, ironically, they sound better.
Yeah.
So that's another option as well, But with power cables, you've really got to experiment. At the end of the day, you've got to try a couple out and see what you think. There's some really good ones, and there's some not so really good ones.
Here's a question I have for you. And this is something that a lot of people who do consultation services with me are asking me. When they have a budget of $100,000, how much of that should be allocated to speakers? Because as you know, my Boulder amplifier is more money than either speaker that I have here. And so I don't exactly follow a rule of saying 40% should be dedicated to speakers and the rest to cables and amplifiers and pre-amplifiers. How do you feel about that conversation? Do you feel that maybe that doesn't exist anymore because we're having cables that now can be more than a speaker, so it's all over the place now? The price the prices have gotten out of control. Do you feel there is a rule of thumb that someone that is looking to build a system for a particular budget should follow in order to make sure that they maximize the system's performance within their budget?
Well, it's a great question, and obviously the room is the great referee, if you will, of all of the decisions that are going to be made. So you're not going to be in a 10 by 10 bedroom and put a 3060 amplifier, and you're not going to put Focal Maestro speakers. So the room does play a big part in making where you put your money. I've always believed in the sort of the Lin name theory of source first, that put the balance, put a bigger emphasis on the source.
But the source,
because once that signal is broken, you can't fix it downstream.
Interesting. The source. Okay.
Yeah, put a big emphasis on the source, and then obviously I think I'm starting to realize the importance more of the amplifier in the chain, and how important, because I think what's happened is in the last 10 years, solid state amplifiers have gotten so good, so much better than they were, in the 80s and the 90s and 2000s. The amps are just getting so good.
Yeah.
And it's kind of throwing that equation out of whack. And at the same time, speakers for a lesser price are getting so good because we're seeing trickle down technology from a lot of the bigger brands. So I think we need to rework that entire formula. But I like a good chunk of money into the source, and certainly a balance into the amps and the speakers and the cables. The cables are important, but I don't think you need to go insane with cables and blow 80% of your budget on cables. I think that that's a point where you tally up everything else and really make sure that you've left 10-20% for cables and go from there. But that is actually the one thing that people leave until the end is the cables. And it's like a shock. Oh, wait a minute, I need a USB cable now, I need an Ethernet cable now, I need power cables now, whatever. So
people are asking if what you mean by the source is the server. Joe, thank you so much for the donation, Joe. Much appreciated. Thank you, man. I appreciate you for donating to my channel. They want to know if the source is, what you mean by the source is the music server, or do you mean the DAC?
Well, it would be, in Lin's terms, it would be the turntable. In names terms, it would probably be the server. But in general terms, for this audience, what I'm referring to is the server and the DAC combination together. That combination together, because we've realized that the DAC, the server, and the software are all, I'm not going to say equally important, but pretty close to equally important now. That's what we're learning as digital has evolved so much in the last 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, it's incredible. I think when you talk about source, is everything that that encapsulates a source. So part of the source also is a music server. Now, I know some of you guys use a DCS, which has their own built-in app, right, that you don't really need a music server for, but you still need to take in consideration the clock. You got to take in consideration the app sampler. Like those are components, or even an external power supply, all that. He's talking about everything that makes up the source. Okay, so if it's feeding the source one way or the other, that also counts as well. So he believes the source is the most important component in the system. Up until recently, I would say I thought it was the speakers. But now I realize that the source, in this case, my Select 2 from MSB, has been the game changer here. Now, of course, that doesn't mitigate the incredible performance of the Boulder 3060, because the Boulder 3060 just is a machine, okay? But for me, I thought it was the speakers, guys, okay? I really thought it was the speakers, and I realized that I'm not sure anymore if it's the speakers, okay? I have speakers that are more affordable than my Wilson Audio XLFs, and now that if you think about it, what I did is I sold my XLFs, got a better source, and I downgraded in terms of speakers, price-wise. That doesn't mean that what I got is garbage. I'm saying I went to a speaker that's a couple of clicks below, but I upped my game to an entire better source, and I find that the performance is phenomenal right now with the speakers that have both pairs of speakers. So, I can understand Mike's, and I have absolutely no way to argue his feelings about the most important component and where most of your money should be. The source, I can agree with you. I think the source is absolutely incredible. But even that said, remember, no DAC can do a real preamplifier's job. Even me owning a $115,000 DAC, which has an incredible preamplifier section, and again, this preamplifier section can probably beat a lot of preamplifiers that you guys own. Okay, but I have a special preamplifier, and it simply doesn't seem to wake up the amplifier, for lack of a better word. It collapses the soundstage. It doesn't have enough cylinders internally to just give it that 3060, the thrust that it needs.
Now, there's one caveat to that, is that when we had the MSB M500, S500, 205 amplifiers in the store, we couldn't find a better pairing than the Select 2 for those amplifiers. So again, I think it's the perfect match of output impedance and input impedance. And if you look on the back of the MSB DAC, on the MSB amplifiers, they have 3 switches for input impedance, and one of them is the perfect match for the DAC. So even if you had a preamp you wanted to use, then you could switch the input impedance. There's a switch on the back. You could switch it to match closer or better to your preamp. So what I'm trying to say is, I think that technicality is very important, and we can't ignore it. And I think in the case of the Boulder, the output of the 2110 is a perfect match for the 3060.
Okay, interesting. Someone wants to know, how does someone know when speakers are set up correctly?
When you have 2 things: when the speakers disappear, and you have a greater musical engagement. So I find myself, closing my eyes, falling into the music. I'm envisioning that they're right there, as opposed to sound coming from 2 boxes. So that takes time and experience. I would recommend everybody go to Amazon and purchase Get Better Sound. That's a really good book. It's in paperback. You can buy it. There's a lot of good tips and tricks in there about how to position your listening chair, position the speakers, and what to be listening for.
For me, it would be what you said. Number one, I like to feel like I'm inside the music. Number one, if I feel that I'm just too far away from the music, I get this tunnel feeling, like a hallway feeling, where I am like in school and the speakers are at the end of the hall and I'm over here all the way across. All I hear is music down that way that doesn't come around me and surround my head, and it gets behind me. Okay, so that's number one. And number two, I think one of the hardest things that I tend to see even in my consultation service is the bass. Bass issues. People have nulls and room problems, and they got bass traps, and they got all sorts of things that sometimes just negates great quality bass performance.
They do, but the thing is, they're trying to fix a problem when the easiest solution is to find the flattest spot in their room and move their listening chair. I see so many people they forget that how important it is to 3 feet front or back. Your bass node can go up, it can go down, or it can be flat. So you really need to find that right spot in your room. So get the speakers into a general position. I think it's going to be somewhere around here, and then start measuring with pink noise and look only below 100 hertz. Only measure. I have we've got tools that we use, microphones and laptops, or you can just buy a spectrum analyzer app for your iPhone and use that as a quick and dirty, and just try to play that pink noise track that goes on for 10 minutes and drives the cats and the neighbors crazy. But play that pink noise track at a good volume and try to you'll find as you move the microphone around, as you go forward, you'll see it jump up, and then you'll see it go down, and you need to watch that. And when you find that spot where it's kind of staying pretty flat, mark it. That's where you put the chair. And then we work around that for the speakers.
Takes some time though.
It takes a lot of time.
And my problem with setting up speakers oftentimes is the fact that I have to do it by myself. So when I move out of the chair and I come back, I really can't see.
Yeah, I know.
I can't remember if I made a minute difference
Right.
or really
Right.
did it improve or not. And then so I begin to get confused. And you can only do that so long before you're like, okay, I'm done for the day.
tired,
Come back next day,
Yeah.
right? So ideally would be to have people with you, one handling each speaker. And when you get them to move, it is important that you remember to avoid from those who help you from standing next to the speaker.
Right.
They got to stand behind the speaker when they move it and stay there as basically, if they can freaking kneel, even better.
Right.
Because the more they do that, the more they take themselves out of the sound stage and actually impacting the performance of the speaker. So that's one thing that I've learned the hard way, but I have to do it by myself, which really, really sucks. Hit that thumbs up, guys, please. Continue to do that. Let's continue to do that thumbs up. It helps a lot. Helps more people to come in the channel. If you have questions that you want answered directly, please make a donation. I will make sure that I prioritize the questions of those of you who donate to the channel, okay? I'll try to make sure that I get Mike's input as well. If you're interested in asking Mike anything directly or myself and you want your questions answered, please make a donation, okay? A small donation so that I know you guys, are supporting me and that are, helping my channel grow.
Now, Jay, we know there's some cynics out there, so let's clear the record. You did not buy the new speakers from me.
No.
So we need to clear that record.
I did not buy the speakers from Mike.
No.
Okay. This is not a speaker that I bought from Mike, in case you're wondering. I did not buy the speaker from Mike.
My wife is away at a girls getaway thing, and so I wanted to come over and give Jay a hand because these new speakers are heavy, very heavy. And
tell the truth, you wanted to hear the 3060.
I wanted to hear the 3060, and I wanted to bring it home. Is what I want now. So,
Mike wants to take home my 3060.
Man. I'm gonna find a way to put it in my car.
Mike came in his sports car, a very small car. He doesn't have a trunk space. He can't put that monster in there. Mike is like, man, I'm gonna go home now, and I just remember that 3060 and what it did.
We're gonna use the wheels from the speaker, put it under the amp, and I'll take it home.
Oh, I'm gonna just
pull it behind the car.
Go to U-Haul and buy one of those trailers.
I'm good with that.
And take it. You know, absolutely. Someone is asking what is the most musical tube sounding solid state amplifier? Okay, this question is interesting. Thank you, William. I'm going to answer your question, William. Thank you for the donation, William. I'm going to answer this question real quick. What is the most musical tube solid state amplifier? Mike may have a different opinion than mine, okay? So we may get two different answers. Go ahead.
I'd say on a budget, at a reasonable price, I would say pass. And at sort of the extreme level, I would say Boulder.
Okay.
But the key is the tube sounding, right? If you want tube sounding. So yeah, I think both Boulder and Pass have a really nice natural tube sound.
Okay, so my question, my answer to that person who asked the most musical solid state tube sounding amplifier, I'm going to have to go with Constellation.
Well, Constellation is absolutely, that's hard to argue.
I'm going to have to go with Constellation.
Yeah,
and Luxman is no slouch. Luxman to me is a very, very beautiful sounding. I think I can see where Luxman can fit right into.
It's a sweeter sound, but it's not a warmy tube traditional sound.
Right.
Constellation, Boulder, Pass, they're all cut from the same cloth.
Agreed.
And even, the original JC ones, I don't know about the new ones, maybe the Parasite.
Maybe
there's
a little
something there. But, I sold Constellation for 3 years. Great people, great product. I love the sound. I just couldn't figure out why it didn't sell as well as it should have, But that's a great product for sure.
William, I'm going to answer your question once again. William, thank you for the donation. Could you characterize the difference between Pass Labs and Sim Audio, specifically 350.8 versus 860 version 2? Well, this man is a dealer for Sim Audio and Pass Labs, so he's going to give you an excellent opinion. An expert opinion, although I have owned both. I'm going to give him the opportunity to answer your question, William.
Well, I think the 860 V2 is more I'm not to say fussy, but more particular with preamp pairing. So I find when you pair it with the Sim Audio preamp, it goes up to a whole different level than if you paired it with a Class A or a Pass or a Luxman pre. I really found that the Sim amp did very well with the Sim preamp. The Pass 350.8 is a what's the best word I can say it? It is a hammer. I mean, it's got the warmth, the sweetness, but it is a big hammer. It's a powerful, powerful amplifier. It just gives up for nothing. I hate to use the word poor man's Boulder, but it's certainly a poor man's Boulder. It is really at that kind of sound, like just big, effortless kind of sound. I think both are great, but like I said, to really get the most out of the 860 V2, I recommend a Sim Audio preamp to go with it.
Okay, I'm going to give you my opinion, William. Having owned both of them, if I'm going to really be raw, and since you made that donation, I'm going to give it to you the way you want to hear it. I would take an 860 V2 10, 50, 100 times over a 350.8.
Because
personally.
it's more refined, sweeter. Yeah.
860 V2, brand new, just came out. The latest and greatest components inside. The 350 has been around the block for too long. The 860 V2, for me, I can easily live with that amplifier. As a matter of fact, William, when I sold it, it broke my heart. Yeah. I wish I had not sold the 860 V2.
It's got some magic, musical magic to it, that 860 V2.
The 860 V2, William, made me want to buy the 888 from Wilson Audio. I mean, from Sim Audio, okay? The 888 monos that are 122K. That actually was what triggered me the desire to buy those amplifiers, which I haven't been able to do. But I want to hear them because I really loved the 860 V2.
And the thing is, you never really heard it with the Sim preamp.
I never.
Yeah, you hear it with that matching 2-box Sim preamp.
Oh, and I heard it at Expona with the Wilson Audio, Sasha's.
Right.
And it sounded phenomenal, William. So for me, man, 860 version 2.
And let me tell you something about Sim Audio that nobody talks about. The 780D V2. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I think it's 780D V2.
The DAC.
With the 820S power supply. So I think that combination is 20-something grand. I should know this, but that digital setup blew me away. It's not what you would expect. You would expect great amps, great preamps. It was really.
It made
really
you be
good.
like, whoa.
I was like, okay, calling my rep, going, I need to hear this in our store.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, William, I hope that answered your question. Joe is asking, thanks for the live stream. Thank you, Joe. Question for Mike: which cartridge is he running on his Kronos? Which phono stage with the cartridge? Any experience with the new series of arms from Kronos?
No experience with the new arms. They do look very, very good. I'm running the Zix Universe Premium 2 cartridge at this point in time. And then on my Avid turntable, I have the Lyra Atlas SL, and I have on the other arm on the Avid Acutus turntable, I have the Miyajima Zero Mono, and you use that only for mono records. So if you've never heard a mono record with a mono cartridge, it's a completely different experience than playing a mono record with a stereo cartridge. But you can never play a stereo record with a mono cartridge because you'll ruin it. So a little bit of analog. One day I'm going to get Jay to get a turntable, hopefully. I don't think I'll ever get him to a reel-to-reel, but I'll certainly get him to a turntable.
I got a turntable coming, okay? Next week.
Oh, he does. That's right.
I have a turntable coming next week.
Not for me.
No.
But you're going to set it up?
Not for Mike. Okay? I've got a turntable coming next week from Kronos. It's like a $50,000 turntable.
It's the same as I have at home.
So I'm getting actually the same turntable that Mike already has.
Yep.
I have nobody to set it up, so I have to probably hire somebody and maybe bring their record collection to just have an idea of what that turntable sounds like. Okay, so we will see if that ever makes it to my YouTube channel. I really.
And on the topic of analog, and I love to talk about, Jay doesn't really like to talk about, on the topic of analog, listen, if you've got a budget of 20 grand, take $10,000 and buy the Riga P8 with the best arm and the best cartridge and everything like that, and buy $10,000 worth of records from Acoustic Sounds or Mobile Fidelity or wherever you want to buy the records from. And the thing is, in 10 years from now, you'll have gone through 3 DACs, but that turntable will still be there, and you'll still be playing the records. That's the thing. You don't need to buy a $200,000 turntable, or the law of diminishing returns
is real.
It's huge.
It's huge.
But you can buy a really nice turntable, a VPI or a Riga or an Avid, or there's tons out there. Acoustic Signature. There's really good turntables, and you don't need to spend a fortune. Even Lynn, the old LP12, you can buy an LP12, and buy records. I think the customer called me the other day. He says, I want to buy a $20,000 turntable. I said, well, we're going to buy the P8 and you're going to go buy $10,000 worth of records, because the P8 or the P10 is $10,000. So I said, we're going to buy the P10 for 10 grand, and you're going to take the remainder and go buy records. Because what are you going to do? Spend 20 grand on a turntable and not have any records?
Yeah, that's my problem. That's why.
Right.
That's my problem. Yeah. Hit that thumbs up, guys, please. Hit that thumbs up. Let's get more people involved. Let's talk. If you want your questions answered, make a donation. I will make sure that I address it. And if it's for Mike, I'll give Mike the mic so he can go ahead and answer the question, okay? Thank you for your donation. Jay, I brought Wilson Audio TuneTalk speakers, fantastic speakers. You have been, which subwoofer do you recommend? You know what? I haven't been exposed to a lot of subwoofers, okay? I mean, common sense would say to stick to a Wilson Audio subwoofer, but I haven't owned it. I haven't really ventured into that. But I do hear from Mike constantly about this B&W subwoofer that you're able to essentially fine-tune it using your cell phone. It actually sends a bunch of waves or test tones. So maybe you can get a quick.
So you could get the little DB3D B&W subwoofers, and the rule with subwoofers is 2 or more, never 1, because if you have 1, you'll always be able to locate it in the room. You'll always hear it coming from one side or the other. So 2, or we always used to say 2 or none, but 2 or more is really the way you want to do it. Now, from a budget standpoint, I've been very impressed, and we don't sell it. Obviously, it's sold direct, but the SVS subwoofers.
The SVS subwoofers,
and they have really good software. You're going to do a little bit more manual labor. You're going to have to do a little bit more work to dial them in. But the SVS subwoofers, I've been very impressed with, especially the cylinder ones.
Yeah, I've heard of those.
Those are really, really good. Yeah.
So you see, and he doesn't even sell SVS, and he's giving you advice for a brand that he thinks it's pretty good stuff. So.
Well, without breaking the bank, because you got your tune tots, they're a smaller speaker.
Yep,
but I think you're not going to buy a $5,000 subwoofer. No. But I think the SVS would be the way to go, and their software is very good. It's just a bigger learning curve. You have to put a little bit more effort into dialing them into the room.
There you go. Yeah. Or you could do the B&W that he recommended.
Right.
Thank you for the donation, Tariq, I think it is. Do I consider the Boulder 3060 the best amplifier that I have ever heard? How do I compare it to the sound of Griffin? Well, man, you're putting me on blast now. Let me think about that answer. I would say the Boulder 3060 is top, at least either number 1 or number 2. It becomes a matter of preferences, Mike. The 3060 is without a doubt one of the most special amplifiers you can ever buy. And I think if Boulder ever replaces the 3060, I still believe you have no reason to replace it, because whatever Boulder comes up with, and I'm sure it'll be replaced at some point, there's no telling when, but I don't think that it should be a reason for you to dump the 3060 and get the new kid on the block. I just don't think that the amplifier can be topped that easily. Now, as you guys know, I have been asking Griffin, and they have agreed to send me the Griffin Apex. I don't have a time frame on when that will occur. It will happen at some point. But I think the only competition for me, in my opinion, to the Boulder 3060 is the new Apex, which I have not heard. I don't believe, in my opinion, the Mephistos are what the Boulder 3060 is. I just don't think so. Now, does that mean that they suck? I did not say that. 3060 and the Mephistos monos to me are the top two amplifiers I have ever had in my room. Period. Regardless of price. The best two amplifiers that Jay has ever owned, 3060 and the Mephisto solos. Okay. Now, will the Apex come and kill my 3060? I can't answer that. Maybe it will. I do not know. This is why I'm very excited to bring you guys the Apex. Pretty soon, you guys will see it on my channel. Which phono stage are you using?
Which day of the week is it? Well, I don't know. I mean, right now I brought home the 2-box Avid. I think it's the Pulsar 2. That's what I'm using right now. I have in the store the VAC Statement. I have the Pass XP27. We have tons of phono stages. So right now I'm using the 2-box Avid at this point in time. I did have a full name 500 system. I loved it. I took it to the store. It's in the store right now. But I am bringing home. I ordered myself a pair of Block Audio monoblocks and the Block preamp. And I've got to figure out the digital and also the phono stage. But at this point in time, I've got the Avid 2-box phono, which is about $10,000, and it's dead nuts quiet. It's very musical. It's neutral, and phono stages are really difficult to find. The right mix. They're all over the map in terms of quality sound. What I look for is low noise floor, and the Avid definitely has it with a separate power supply.
Interesting. Someone is asking a good question that's applicable to you. They want to know the differences between the 1160 Boulder and MSB S202. Basically, is there any what differences overall? What do you think how are they different?
I think the 1160 Boulder is, I mean, it is really, it's in another league. I hate to say it, but the 1160 Boulder is just it's an 8-cylinder car, and it just gives up nothing. And it's got a lot of the DNA from its big brothers, the 2160 and the 3060. It's got a lot of that sound quality in it. I think the argument for the MSB would be, I have an MSB Premier, I have an MSB Reference, and I want to get an MSB stereo amp. I think that would be a good match, but I would encourage somebody to either look at the MSB monos,
right,
the 205s,
step it up a little more.
Yeah, the 205s are beautiful sounding, absolutely phenomenal amplifiers, and then look at an 1160 or 2160 from that standpoint. That's going to be more of an equal match.
Interesting. Hit that thumbs up, guys. Let's get more likes on here so that we can continue to do this a little longer before Mike has to part ways. He has to get home to his kids. So if you have any questions that you need to ask me, please make a donation. We will get to your questions. No question will be unanswered. Just make that donation, that contribution to the channel, okay? I appreciate you all being here with me today, this Saturday afternoon. My opinion about the ground wire, the Nordos ground wire. I actually tried it before he did.
Yep.
And then I told him how good it was.
Yeah, it's very good.
So it was amazing. It was
I have it in my system at home now.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
So yeah, if you want to know, it's great. One ground wire is great.
It lowers the noise floor.
It does.
It really does.
What do you think? And Mike can probably talk about this, although he's not a Griffin dealer. He has experience with the Diablo 120 or the 300. Thank you for the donation, Song. I appreciate the donation. I'm going to try to answer your question now. Do I prefer the top model or entry level? Okay, so let me see. Have I heard the Diablo 120 or Diablo 300? Do you prefer top models of mid-class brands or entry models of high-end brands?
We've had this conversation before.
A great question.
We've had this conversation.
That's a great question.
Yeah, that's a very, very good question.
Do I prefer? Let me take the Diablo conversation. I think that if you're going to get an integrated, the Diablo 120, the Diablo 300, it has to do with your speakers. Okay, so if your speakers are efficient, you can do okay with the 120. Okay. Yeah. Now, the 120 is a great, but a great unit, but it has limitations. The 300 was designed for larger speaker, more difficult to drive.
Yeah.
If you have a room that's large, you're farther away from the speaker.
Yeah.
Remember that 120 can only take you so far. Okay, so it has to do with your system. How difficult are your speakers to drive? If they're very easy to drive, you can probably get away with the 120. You don't need to look at the 300.
From the lower mid-range up, they're identical sonically. Where the 300 comes in is in the bass.
The bass is better than the 300, and I can agree with that. Now, do I consider top models of a mid-fi
We have
brand?
had this conversation.
Top models. This is a great question.
This is a good,
Very good question. Do I consider top models of mid-fi brands better than entry models of top-end brands? Man,
that is a tough one.
That's a good.
That's a conversation we've had, and the problem we get into is that
Brand dependent. Depends on the brand.
Correct.
Yeah.
But also the market perception. So, for example, does the market perceive a particular brand? Let's just say Sim Audio. Do they deem that as a mid-fi brand or a hi-fi brand? I mean, that's what we have to ask ourselves. This is the conversation that we have all the time. Is it considered tier 1, tier 2, tier 3? I know that I made a post on Audio Shark. I own Audio Shark, and I made a post on there, and I can't remember a thread that caused more controversy than which tier does your brand belong into. Oh my God, it was like World War III. It was like everybody was like, no, mine is in tier 1. But it's really about. It's not about the product. It's about how is the brand perceived in the marketplace. So if you go to Munich and there's 650 rooms of gear, is it going to be perceived with FM Acoustics, Dart Seal, Solutions, CH Precision, is it going to perceive Boulder, Griffin? Is it going to be perceived with those? Or is it going to be perceived with, sort of a tier below or 2 tiers below? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of it's an excellent question. I don't know. It's like we were talking about the 888s, and I was saying, well, it's like buying the really fast Honda. It's great, it's reliable, it's a great company, but is it going to be perceived as being the top of the line Honda? You know what I'm saying?
The Kia Stinger is great. The Kia Stinger, amazing.
Exactly.
Perfect example.
It's a good question, and I don't know I think if you're an individual that goes for brand recognition, I have to own the Mercedes-Benz, I have to own the BMW, and is that? I mean, really, let's look at the Hyundai Genesis, the new one. The new Genesis, the 90, 70, 80, whatever it is. Yeah. I mean, you're comparing that to a BMW or a Mercedes. It actually might be better. But are you going to be, is it the pride? Are you going to say, well, I own the Hyundai,
It's a good conversation. It's like saying Magical A5 or 802 D4. Mm-hmm. Approximately the same price, right?
Right.
Magical is considered an elite brand. BMW, unfortunately, and I don't make this up, this is essentially the perception, is a brand that you can find at a regular retailer. So unfortunately, it doesn't have the status associated, the brand name attached to it. It's the same as saying, do you want to drive a Range Rover or do you want to drive a Toyota RAV4 or 4Runner or a Chevy Tahoe? Mm-hmm. What do you want to drive, right? It depends on what you want. Both are great vehicles, but do you want the name brand attached to it? Is the name brand attached to it important to you?
That's a better question for your subscribers to really answer.
Yeah.
For you, and you have to be honest about it, ask yourself honestly, do you just want the best product? You're not that concerned with the name or the perception, or is that important? I remember when the Magico A3 came out, it was $99.90, I think, for a pair.
Yeah, I remember that.
I had so many people walk in the store we had never seen before saying, oh, I've got, Golden Ear Triton speakers. I've got Paradigms. I've got whatever. Oh my God, I can finally own a Magico.
Yeah.
So that was a good example.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. Thank you, Chris, for the donation, Chris. Much appreciated. Okay, guys, if you guys are making the donation, we're going to answer all your questions, okay? Appreciate the support. Hit that thumbs up, please. is there any trickle down with Sim Audio? I'll be looking to replace my NAD M33 with Sim Audio 390A or 338 or 768 on a second system. Is it worth the price and a noticeable upgrade? Trickle down, I think there is.
Yeah, definitely. They have a house sound.
They have a house sound, and
the
I love it.
sleeper is that 340 integrated from Sim Audio. That 340 integrated is amazing sounding.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Really
So
good.
to answer your question, Chris, there is definitely trickle down sound.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely happens. I mean, I think just brands in general are forced to do that. They put all their R&D into the top model, and then eventually that needs to start trickling down as they continue to work on their next top end model, right? Over time, it's easy for them to say, well, let's just, pour what we know into the more affordable brands, because it's not a lot of work for them at that point. They just kind of copy what they did on the top end model, and they begin to push out new models. But I believe, yes, that if to answer your question, Chris, there's definitely trickle down. And as I mentioned to you, look, I'm a fan of Sim Audio. And I'm going to lay it out right now. I have already contacted Sim Audio, and I requested that I listen to the 888 $120,000 models. Okay. Again, perfect example. What someone may consider a mid-fi brand with top-end electronics against the Griffin, price where Griffin is, where Boulder is, Darzeal is, right? So I want to hear the Sim Audio 888s. If you guys are connected with Sim Audio, just so you know, I have emailed Sim Audio. I got a response. They told me they do not have any 888s. They haven't built any lately because they're being shipped out to to Asia. Okay, that's where they are. But they actually did say they can fly me into Canada and come into their facility, their factory, and do a factory tour and hear their Sim Audio 888s. I am very eager to hear the 888s. I haven't had the chance to hear them. I know they're massive. They're huge, probably the size of the Boulder 3060.
I got a chance to hear them. They definitely are like the 3060. They just have effortlessness. They don't run. They don't quit. Steam, no, and they have that great Sim Audio musical sound. So they are certainly something you got to go and hear.
Okay, guys. Any other questions before we wrap things up? We have to. I got to let Mike go. He has a long road, a long way home. So. Let me take a couple of questions. Thank you for the donations, guys. If you guys have been donating to the channel, it is very appreciated, just so you guys know, okay? Best integrated, last question, Diablo 300, Passlabs INT 250, Agustino Progression, Boulder 66. Does Mike have an opinion on acoustic synergy signature turntables and arms? So if you want to answer it, best integrated, in your opinion, between the Diablo 300, the INT 250, the Boulder's 866, because I know I haven't heard the progression and neither have you. So those three, 866, Diablo, and Passlabs INT 250.
I would say the INT 250 or the Hagel 590 for me. And remember, the 590 is a fully balanced design. It has a big sonic improvement over the 390. That's the sleeper out there right now, is the $11,000 Hagel 590, fully balanced design, 300 watts per channel, built-in DAC, which will soon, hopefully, be Roon enabled. I think I lived with that integrated at home for several weeks, and it was extremely musical and powerful, and it made you think you had a stereo amp and a preamp, that's for sure.
Wow.
So I'd say if you don't want the heat, then the 590 would be the one for me to look at. I like the 866. I find it is an integrated that sounds like an integrated. It's never going to make you think like you've got big mono blocks there. It's not a knock. It's just that's what it is. It doesn't have 300 watts of power like the Hagel 590, which just gives and gives and goes. So they're both great. The 866 I would buy all day long if you want the DAC, the streamer, everything in one. It's beautiful. It sounds just like the other Boulder products that we love. And you've got a smaller room, maybe like 12, 14, 16 kind of room. And you've got, modest speakers, nothing too terrible to drive. I think the 866 would be a great choice.
Okay, and one question here, Mike, that is directed to you. People want to know about the Hi-Fi Rose 150B, I think it is.
So the Hi-Fi Rose, the RS150B, I lived with it at home for several weeks, for about 2 weeks actually, and we use it in the store. It uses the same DAC technology as much more expensive streamers that are out there on the market. The screen is beautiful. The functionality is beautiful. There's a couple of, I'm going to say there's one little thing they're working through with the integration with Cobuzz right now. The title integration is flawless. I love the fact that you can buy you can buy an external CD-ROM drive and you can either play CDs or rip CDs. There's storage capabilities in the bottom of it. You can use it as just a network transport. So you can hook it up to an external DAC, or you can use the Sabre 9038 Pro DAC chip, which is used in, as I said, much more expensive streamers. You can use that by itself. The screen is gorgeous. It's almost 15 inches.
I saw it, and that attracted me at the show. Actually,
you can actually watch videos on it on the screen, which is kind of cool. So if you're into watching YouTube concerts, or you've got a band like Fish that you like, and you can only watch them online, you can actually watch it on the screen. I think it hits way above its price point, and we're excited to see the matching integrated come out, which is going to use the GaN technology, which is very similar to the ones that we've seen, the AGD amps with the GaN, Class D technology in the tubes. Looks like a tube amp, but it's not a tube amp. So we're going to be very excited to see that. But the Hi-Fi Rose is great. If you're in that $5,000 bracket, that's definitely one to check out. Keep in mind two things. You can take that Hi-Fi Rose to the next level by integrating some of the what I'll call the serious listening steps. Number one, turn off any of the unused inputs or outputs on the Hi-Fi Rose. You do that through the Rose app. Number two, you want to make sure you turn off the screen. That will reduce the noise and also improve the sound overall. I'm talking about the serious listening. You're going to sit there, you're going to turn off the lights, and you're going to be listening for 2 hours. Those are the things you want to do, and it'll take it even to a new level.
Well, maybe someday I may bring that Hi-Fi Rose DAC on my channel and give you guys my opinion. So that's something I've been thinking about since I saw it at Exponent before you became a dealer.
Yeah,
because I do like that idea of YouTube. I do a lot of YouTube. I like to watch a lot of music videos on YouTube, and I know it's not like I'm not looking for the best resolution, but I would love to have a solution and have a DAC that I can just find YouTube and play it through my system occasionally here and there, songs that are not necessarily on title. So maybe I do that at some point, guys, and bring that Hi-Fi Rose in my lab and give you guys my impressions.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, in closing thoughts, first and foremost, I want to thank you all 100% for the love and the support, the donations, everything. I'm going to try to do more of these live chats on weekends, because that's really when I do not work. And like I said to you, if you guys make a donation, your questions will be answered. There are way too many questions, unfortunately, and I have to prioritize those of you who contribute to the channel. Of course, I will still answer questions from other people that are posting questions, okay? But I want to take the opportunity to let you guys know that pretty soon my website, Jay's Audio Lab, will launch, and I will have all my stuff there. I will have this, every item that I have here will be listed there for sale. I'll have the lines that I carry right now, which are essentially 3 different lines that will go nameless for now, okay? But you know about Artisania Audio, and of course you know about isoacoustics for footers or any isolation devices, which I may use for my music server. I may try to bring an isolation device from isoacoustics or footers. Maybe, I don't know if they have anything. I haven't really looked at that.
The Aurea, you want the Bordeaux and the Aureas, those are very good.
I want to try that. And then lastly, I want to introduce to you pretty soon, by the way, the power conditioner or power unit. I don't know how to even call it, that I represent, and that will also be listed on my website, okay? There's going to be a members only section on my website. Well, I'll have exclusive content and private chats like this for those of you who are members of mine and want to get the latest updates about my journey. But that said, I appreciate you all so much. Thank you for being here with me on a Saturday afternoon with Mike from Suncoast Audio. Okay. Thank you, man, for being here, helping me with the speakers. And next week, guys, I will reveal this new speaker. I'm going to work hard this weekend to get it as dialed in as possible. You'll get about a video or two of the speaker playing where I feel it sings.
Yeah.
And then hopefully you get to see it by the end of next week, the speaker. Okay. So bear with me. Be patient, please. And Tariq, I know you just sent me a donation. Can you please email me that question, and I will answer it for you via email. Okay. Thank you again for the love and the support. Until the next time, stay tuned for more, and peace. Have a great afternoon, great evening, good night. Cool.
All right.